Good Friday evening, and it's Kirk Tovey here from Cherries Red Army. And I don't know if you've heard, but it looks like Bournemouth have a championship match tomorrow afternoon versus Stoke City. First time since the 12th of February. And we really enjoy these live previews. We've got guests coming your way very, very soon, including an opposition guest. So we welcome both sets of fans to this stream. So make sure you take advantage of the interactive chat we have for the next hour. We'll get your thoughts. We'll show as many on the screen as possible. Also, Cherries Red Army, we are looking to grow and get to 1,000 subscribers. We hit 800. We've gone past that. We're now on 816. So if you're new to the channel, watching this maybe live, or you've checked out the video after it was live, please hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to put a big smile on my face, it'd be really interesting for you to hit that like button. Definitely hit that, because that very much does help as well. So AFC Bournemouth back in action against Stoke City. Should we talk about it? Let's do it.
Stacey down the right hand side. Stacey looking for the early cross, pulls it in behind Billing, who smashes it towards goal and past the post from the fast advancing Phil Billing. Chester in the Stoke half of the field, but given away again by Stoke. And now it's a chance for Ryan Christie, right corner of the penalty area for the Cherries here. Onto his left foot, spilled by the goalkeeper and turned in by Dom Solanke. Ryan Christie's shot couldn't be held by the Welshman Adam Davies, and Dom Solanke poaches the goal, his 8th league goal of the season. The home fans, Timon picks it up, swung across the 6-yard box, everybody left it, it's gone back out to the right hand side, Smith again, into the box it comes, off the left hand post, and then put wide. Every start he finds a lovely ball to Jordan Zamora, on through the middle for Dom Solanke, onto his right foot, hits the bar.
And let's welcome our guest to tonight's stream. We've got Bournemouth fan Matt Davies. Good evening, how you doing?
Very well, Kirk. Yourself?
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. And you go on an away day, you're likely to see this guy, Bournemouth fan. That's mainly to do with his height. It's Steve Hensman. How you doing?
Yeah, you can't really tell that now, can you? But yeah, I'm good, mate. Nice to see you all.
Fantastic. And our opposition guest this evening is Ben Rowley from the YYY-Files. Stoke City fan. How you doing?
I'm okay. Thank you very much for having me. How are you guys doing? You all right?
Fantastic.
Very well, mate.
Ben, tell us a bit about the YYY-Files before we get into this match preview.
Okay, so it's a podcast first and foremost, and it's not your typical football podcast. I take it. Most talk about the game that happened or the game that is going to be. We basically interview Stoke City fans about how they got into it in the first place, what their favourite memories are, their favourite team, what they think of the club today, things like that. It's essentially the Joe Rogan for Stoke City, basically. It does a few different things here and there. We've done 24-hour live streams over Christmas. We've done game shows. We've just anything that isn't talking about the most depressing thing about being a Stoke fan, and that is the game that just happened. So, yeah, bit of fun.
Ben's details are in the description below, so check him out after this video. Now, let's get on with the preview. Come over to you first, Matt. And no game now since the 12th of February for the Cherries. That was a cancellation postponement against Forest at home due to the storm. And then obviously our last game was meant to be Swansea in midweek. That was also postponed, and that was because Swansea had injuries.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, 7, I believe. 7 first team is out. Unbelievable.
So, how are you feeling with Bournemouth not playing a football match since 12th February?
Yeah, it's obviously a little bit frustrating. It killed a little bit of 3 wins on the bounce, weren't we? So in the league, so it's killed a little bit of momentum. So the interesting question will be how we respond to that now, how we bounce back from that, having that taken away from us. But we're still in a great position, aren't we? Second in the league, 2 points clear of third, 3 games in hand, is it? And 4 games in hand on some. minimum 3 games in hand. So we're in a fantastic position, really. So it's there for us.
Steve, we're going to talk about Scott Parker building up for this game, but we wanted this, didn't we? We wanted 10 games in 35 days or whatever it's going to be. Of course we didn't.
No, it's going to be an absolute hell of a run in, isn't it? So, I mean, I think we've got everyone amongst us here, top sort of 8 clubs, haven't we? We've got to play them all in over the course of about 5 or 6 weeks. It's going to be very, very interesting. A lot of twists and turns I can see happening. Because, I mean, again, we're not the only ones who've got this fixture congestion. It's going to apply to everybody. So it's going to be some interesting football matches coming up.
Yeah, interesting, nail-biting. Ben, does it really bother you that Bournemouth haven't played since the 12th of February? I suppose you could look at it 2 ways, that maybe we might be a bit rusty when that whistle goes tomorrow at 3 p.m, or could we be fresh?
All I can say is that Stoke have been through a similar situation. It was around December, January time from memory, and we were shocking following a big break. I think it does kill a lot of momentum, especially if you have picked them up in your last few games. I think the whole thing gets reset. I mean, you guys have got a great squad, and we were suffering with COVID. I think that's the difference here. We had a lot of players come back who were genuinely quite unfit. Stephen Fletcher particularly was pretty bad by all accounts. So different circumstances perhaps, but I wouldn't necessarily see it as a positive, as I'm aware your opposition fans are seeing it as such.
Let's just also see who's joined us this evening interactively. We've got Chris Hubble from the North Stand. I'm sure he'll be there tomorrow. We've also got Ron the Pug. We've got Mitty Bricks, Mark Collins, Mark Cole, Dan Shorts. He's gone early with his score prediction. That's to come later. Gareth Owen, Stephen Dyer, and JK up the Cherries as well. If we see any Stoke fans, we will show them on the screen. But a team that did play in midweek, Ben, was Stoke City, a 2-1 loss. Tell us about it, and I'll show you some information on the screen as you're talking about that latest game for yourselves.
I mean, the story of our season pretty much has been like tight games and near misses, and that includes the reverse fixture that we had at the Bet365. But to be honest, we were absolutely terrible, and that is a big shame considering it's against Nathan Jones's Luton Town, who was, of course, our manager for about a year or so. And it's just so disappointing. We should have had some players fired up. Players like Tyrese Campbell, Nick Powell, Josh Tyman were all players discarded by Nathan Jones, despite Nick Powell being signed by Nathan Jones. And in games that we've had under Michael O'Neill against Nathan Jones, we play very well against Luton because those players have been fired up. They were fired up, but they were not very good at all. Josh Tyman was at fault, I believe, for the first goal that Luton scored. Nick Powell, nothing that he did came off. And Tyrese Campbell, bar a good shot on target in the first half, was relatively forgettable, as was the whole team. The only one that came out of it with any credit was Joe Allen, and he's coming for a lot of stick this season for perhaps not living up to the fact that A, he's on about 50 grand a week still, despite it being our 4th season in the Championship, and B, he's our captain. But he has stepped up where others haven't, and it's weird because despite us being so poor, it was a tight game again, and the frustration is that, losing 2-1, scoring in the 90th minute, you think, if we'd have just tried a little bit harder, we might have taken something. And that is completely the difference from, we were in a very similar position to where you guys are now. That is the difference between a team like Bournemouth and a team like Stoke this season.
Steve, though, as an outsider looking at that game in midweek, we came against Luton a few weeks ago. They were just starting to hit the form. They beat us. They've gone on from that game against us, and they're now touching the playoffs. They are a good team at the moment, Luton. Yeah,
absolutely. We saw, again, another away day that wasn't a great away day for us. But they definitely showed, they've got some good talent around the pitch. So I don't think that Stoke losing to Luton is any, it's not that bad a deal, really. They're a decent side. The Stoke thing, it's just a consistency thing for me. It just seems to be so up and down the form. I think you've got a record. Is it 12 wins, 12 losses, and 8 draws, or something like that?
Bang average mid-table team.
Yeah, and it just seems that you talk about fine margins in our reverse fixture at your place. It could have gone either way that game. And I look at a lot of your results, and equally, I think there's the score lines. I haven't watched the games obviously, but the score lines seem to tell the same story. It could have gone, they're tight 1-goal difference losses and such like. But yeah, it's not. Obviously, we lose to Luton. It's not. It's all the big teams lose to Luton.
Matt, Steve sort of hit the money there when I was looking at Stoke City. It's consistency. I'm going to look at them tomorrow, Matt, when they're warming up to see what teams turned up, because they can beat teams, but then they can also lose to teams you don't expect them to lose to. That worries me as a Bournemouth fan.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously more than capable, and our home record against Stoke in recent years has not been
great.
Not great. No, I think we've had at least a couple of defeats in there, maybe 1 or 2 wins as well. There's been quite a few games between the clubs, haven't there, in recent years, both in the Premier League and the Championship. But I've actually got a mate that's a good mate that's a Stoke fan, and he said to me the other day, because I think you'd made a few signings, Ben, maybe some loan signings, brought some players into the club. He said outside bet for the playoffs, because you've been knocking on the door, and I think you've got the basis there. But there has been this sort of transition with Stoke City, hasn't there, over recent years, with Michael O'Neill coming in. And when I see you line up now, when I look at your squad, we're obviously, as Bournemouth fans, we're always used to going to Stoke, and it was going to be a physical battle. You were going to be a really direct team, and we're going to be in our faces. Has that changed somewhat now, Ben? Because looking at you, how you set up, you go 4-3-3, similar to what we do. I know Michael O'Neill favoured a 3-5-2 in his early days at the club, and he used to adopt that, didn't he, with Northern Ireland quite a bit. But he seems to be creating an identity and a style of football which goes against the grain as a Stoke City fan, I would think, over recent years. You're now playing that 4-3-3. You've got pacey players in the front positions. You've got Joe Allen holding in midfield, and then sort of Nick Powell and maybe Lewis Baker in more advanced roles. How do you see it as a Stoke fan at the moment, Ben? Do you think you're still in transition, or are you happy with the style of football?
To be honest, I became a supporter back in 2009, and that was in the Tony Pulis days.
Yep.
Joyous days.
Exactly. But to be fair, we joke about the style of football, but it was clearly functional. We got to an FA Cup final. We reached the last 32 in the Europa League. We, did so many great things. We stayed up in the Premier League despite being written off on the very first day, and we made it in the Premier League for 10 years. But the football was terrible, and that's what people will know us for. And then we've been through the mill. We really have. Mark Hughes brought Stoke Alona, where we played some absolutely wonderful football, genuinely did. Ended in tears because his signings were atrocious. And then we had Gary Rowett, who his football is to win. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. So I'm not going to go say it was akin to the Tony Pulis days, but it was a functional style of football, similar to what you see at Millwall now. Yeah. Nathan Jones tried to bring his fancy diamond, and diamonds weren't forever, but it was about a year. It was just not good enough. Yes, there was a culture he brought that was ideal, but I think Stoke were in such plight at the time. We were close to doing a Sunderland. Very, very close to doing a Sunderland. What we needed was a Michael O'Neill who went, you know what, you have a fantastic squad, specifically for the relegation zone in the Championship. Go and play your football. I trust you to go and do what you've got to do. I'm going to play in the right positions, and I'm going to trust you to be great players. And they were, and it kept us up. And he sort of built on that slowly. You're right. He has built some sort of an identity. I think his ideal would be more of like a 3-5-2 with that sort of counter-attacking football, that pace up front, as you mentioned. I think during his time at Stoke, particularly in the last 2 seasons, injuries have just crippled him. They really have. And I know every team will say that, but ours, I would like to say, have just been significant, not only to certain players, not only the amount of players, but just those crucial players at the same time. But I'll finish off by saying that I think O'Neill is starting to show his limitations. His in-game management is perhaps not as good as what a team like who needs to win on a consistent basis needs. I think he was relying a lot on relegation of momentum of needing to stay up, now we need a bit more quality in games and a bit more nous. And I don't think team spirit is enough. We have it in plentiful amounts, but we don't seem to be able to finish off these games that we mentioned. I think pretty much every game that we've played this season has been a draw or a 1-goal margin. Very, very few have been other since. And it's those fine lines, as I mentioned, that, we need to be turning draws into wins and losses into draws. And I don't think he has that in him without a fully fit squad.
Steve, it was fine lines in that first fixture between the teams in the Championship. You were there at Stoke City evening. I think it was a midweek game.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday night. Yeah.
Yeah, it all seems to be a midweek game for us when we go to Stoke. It was a 1-0 in the end. It was a Ryan Christie shot. Not sure what the Stoke goalkeeper was trying to do. He parried it and Dom Solanke put away the rebound. Took a 1-0, but it was a tight fixture.
Yeah, it was. And it was the typical rainy night in Stoke on a Tuesday. It ticked all the boxes in that regard. And the game, it was a really tight affair. And to be fair, I know it ended up 1-0, but it could have been sort of 2-2, 3-2. Stoke had plenty of chances. We had plenty of chances. I think looking back on it, I think you had a shot within about 20 seconds in that game. Straight from the kickoff, we were going through that period where we were just starting really, really slowly in most games, and that was no exception to that night. But yeah, once we got our foot down, we sort of started playing a bit. We got our noses in front in the second half, and it could have been more. Dom hit the bar. There was a stonewall penalty for me with Jay-Z in the second half. He got taken down. I can't remember who the defender was, but then equally, Stoke hit the bar. Hit the post, I believe. Second half, Tyrese Campbell had a 1-on-1 which he put wide. I remember, I think it might have been Brown had a shot. No, sorry, who took there was a free kick late on as well. Travers made a good save from. So it was an entertaining game, but it was just your typical 1-0 away win in the end. But yeah, I was just sort of thinking about what you were saying there, Ben, about Michael O'Neill and whether he's got that. Is it not a case that you just need a little bit more quality in your side? Because I look at some of the players in there, and there's some aging players, the likes of Joe Allen and Steve Fletcher, but there's some good youth coming through as well. Have you got? Am I right in thinking you've got? Is it Sean Mike Phillips' lad or?
Mm-hmm. We got DiMaggio, yeah, who's likely to play tomorrow. Actually,
is he any good? Because I noticed he came through he broke into the first team recently.
Yeah, so we got him from Man City's academy about a year ago, and I think he was a bit disappointed to be released from there. We picked him up with aspirations of him being in the first team within a couple of years. His growth accelerated, and with injuries to players like Tyrese Campbell, like Jacob Brown, at the time, and there was a cup match on, DiMaggio played, and blew us out the water. It was fantastic to see another young player going through at Stoke. You're right in saying that we've got plentiful players in that sort of under 21, under 23 bracket. And he's shone in this team. Perhaps dropped out the team recently because of the signing of Jaden Philogene-Badace, who, to be fair to him, has played really well, and has given us a different kind of cutting edge. And he started ahead of DiMaggio. But yeah, it's the balance at Stoke is strange. We've got a lot of under 23s, under 21s. Probably half our team is made up of that, and then the rest is the likes of James Chester, Stephen Fletcher, Joe Allen, Sam Clucas, all above 30. Yeah. We've got very few players in that Nick Powell, Lewis Baker age,
in their peak,
and they're literally the only two players off the top of my head that I can think of that start regularly, that are in that age range. So it's difficult at Stoke to perhaps have that balance between experience and quality. Often we're relying on half the team to pull one side and half the team to pull the other. So that's what we could do with for sure. But then, I think the players we got some of the best young attackers in the league. And I think Tyrese Campbell's excellent. Our defense on paper again is great. Joe Bursic's a great goalkeeper. Harry Suter, again, for my money, one of the best centre backs in the league until he got injured this season. Midfield, we've got so many different options. We've mentioned Mario Vrancic, Nick Powell, Romain Sawyers. Lewis Baker now, Joe Allen. We should, I think, if not be in the playoffs, at least 7th or 8th. The fact that we've dropped off to the bottom half in February, that's not good enough. That's nowhere near good enough. And I think I was saying to you guys off air that there was a stat that come out from the Stoke fans yesterday about since we beat West Brom, who at the time were unbeaten. I think we beat West Brom quite comprehensively at home. If you take the league table, which might have started from the day after that game, we'd sit 21st behind Barnsley, Peterborough and Reading. And that is tragic.
I think you are right there, because you took quite a few points. I think about 25 points in the first 16 games. I think you only had one loss in the first 7. But coming to you, Matt, from what Ben and Steve have said there about some of the players, and they've scored, Stoke this is 41 goals this season, 11% conversion rate in front of goal. Brown's got 8, Nick Powell's got 5, Campbell's got 4, and they've also just signed Josh Maja. Now, if you've ever seen Sunderland Till I Die, they raved about him in that series on Netflix. He went off to Bordeaux, didn't quite happen, Matt, but he's come back, and I did rate Josh Maja when he was at Sunderland a few years ago.
Yeah, he looks a threat. I think, as Ben's rightly said, in forward areas, Stoke have got some really talented players. So they've got a lot of pace. They've got players who really should be finishing off chances that they create. When you look at their squad, Ben's absolutely right for me. They should be top 6. I think they should be top 6. So I can understand, Ben, why the jury is out on the manager, because with that squad that you've assembled there, you've come through the parachute years, if you like, and it's not happened for you. You probably, I would say, in terms of the squad strength and depth and the what you've got there now, you probably arguably it's stronger than what it has been in some of those parachute years. Really, when you look at some of the players that were going through the motions there on big money and that you needed to shed and get rid of. So for me, that you should be up around the top 6, and you are definitely underachieving and underperforming at the moment. Because I was obviously, as I always do, I did a bit of research on Stoke before I come on. Not that I needed to, because my mate's a Stoke fan, so he's always in my ear roll about it all. But I looked through the squad and I thought, look at the quality they've got, particularly in forward areas, and fairly solid as well at the back. So I understand, why you're disappointed. But Josh Maja, I mean, you've done some good business in the January window. I think the lad you bought in from Aston Villa as well is a good sign, and he plays up front. It just seems very similar to how we set up. You seem to have that, like I touched on before. It seems to be a 4-3-3. We're pacing forward areas, Joe Allen holding, and so it's going to be interesting tomorrow. Where the start, I don't know whether Michael O'Neill will go a bit more negative, if you like, and go for a back 3 and go 3-5-2, or whether he'll stay 4-3-3 and go for it and open up the game, if you like, and make it who's the better team on the day with the 4-3-3s going head to head. It'd be interesting to see. But Maja, in your answer to your question, Kirk, definitely a worry and definitely a threat.
Well, Ben, let's take a look at that lineup. I'm going to show you the lineup from midweek. This is the team that started for you against Luton. You're in the orange side, obviously. How would that team look like tomorrow then, off the back of that Luton fixture?
Okay, so, if I'm Michael O'Neill, I'm making a lot of changes. Some of them are going to be enforced, in fairness. I do believe 2 of the 3 guys that got subbed off, Josh Tymon and Philogene Bidace, were from injuries. And I believe Howard Bellis was really badly injured towards the game as well, was holding his back towards the end of the game. And
he had to be helped off, didn't he?
Yeah. I have no idea how he carried on up until the final minute, and he was stretchered off after the game. So any of these 3 guys could be out tomorrow. I think they've all got late fitness tests. And then it's difficult, because then who do you drop? You've got the likes of Ben Wilmot, who I really rate, in fairness. Great pickup from Watford. I'd say one of our players of the season, but had a tragic game at right back. So perhaps you drop in and maybe bring Tommy Smith back in if he doesn't have to come in on the left side for Tymon. Your midfield options, Romain Soyes is back now. I think if Vrancic isn't back, he's close. So we've got to look at him. Samaje Wright-Phillips might come back in. Jacob Brown didn't start, so he might come back in. I would say Maja would start. I would say Allen would start. Lewis Baker has scored 4 goals in the 6 or 8 games he's played, so I'd imagine he'd start as well. It's going to be much changed. Some enforced, I'm sure, but I think we need a re-energized Stoke team. Even if that's not one that we're going to be playing for the end of the season, it's got to be one just to, detach ourselves from that Luton game. So I think we're playing a similar way. I don't think we've got the personnel to do much different. But I think, you can see a change team from that Luton side.
Ben, it's been brilliant to have your perspective. We're going to get your score prediction in a moment before we let you go, but I have got Sean in the chat who said, Sam Surridge, ? What happened? By the way, I did rate this player before he went to Stoke City, but he's now at Nottingham Forest. Tell us why.
Well, I don't know how he was at Bournemouth, but he scored, I think it was 2 goals in his first 2 games, and he scored like 3 goals in his first 4 or 5 since he got here. And we were like, happy days, we finally got a clinical striker. And then in the games following, we got anything but. He was missing chances from 6 yards, 3 yards, penalties, chances with his right, with his left, with his head, with his nipples, I don't know, anything. It just would not go in for him. He was getting red cards for us, and he ended up getting dropped on the bench for players like Managerial-Phillips. He's come in and happy days, right? Just interesting, Sean. I don't think you'll be getting the 5 million. I think it was 2+ add-ons, and we will not have accumulated any add-ons with him.
No.
I think we did well to make our money back, to be fair,
Yeah.
to sell him to Notts Forest. I think he will. There's a player in there. There's absolutely a player in there. His instincts in the box is great, and I think his link-up play is good too, as he showed when he pretty much settled the goal in our game against Forest a couple of weeks ago. But it just didn't work out for him here. Maybe a loan. We were talking about a loan to Cardiff instead before Notts Forest swapped in. But if it meant that we're able to, for example, get rid of Surridge and bring in Josh Maja, which he's coming on loan, but he's got a loan to buy for pretty much the same amount, I'd say that's a better swap in my opinion. So, thanks for coming. Thanks for the couple of goals. Thanks for the mental against Reading. But it's time to say goodbye, Sam.
Okay, and I got one more question to ask you before that score prediction, Ben, and I'll also ask Matt and Steve this, but in our match previews, Ben, I do like to put a little match stat in. Okay, so what I've got here, and I hope I've got this right, but I want to know, Ben, and I don't expect you to know this, but have a stab in the dark. From losing positions this season, out of a possible 36 points, how many points do you think you've taken from when you've conceded first?
5.
Steve?
I've got to guess Stokes. Oh, okay. 7.
Matt?
From losing positions.
So when they've conceded first, they potentially had the opportunity to come back and get up to 36 points. How many have they actually got, though?
It's pretty tragic as a clue.
Yeah, this isn't it. I'm going to go 8.
Okay. You're so close, all of you. It's 6, Ben.
Oh,
it is 6. You're very close.
We'll split it, Ben.
Matt and Steve, score first tomorrow is the task in my eyes.
Can I just ask Ben? Sorry. Can I just ask Ben, if Harbour Bellis is out tomorrow, who plays in place of him?
I don't think. I hope that Phil Jagielka is able to come back in. We've got someone like, I believe, a young centre-back called Will Goodwin, who played the very last game, I think, of last season. I think it was against you guys. I think he scored in that game on his debut for Stoke. So he might come in.
Great news.
It's likely to be James Chester, though, so don't worry. I think you'll be
all right. Okay.
Brilliant. Ben, score prediction, and we'll let you go on this match preview. How's it going to go tomorrow from a Stoke point of view?
Based off what we've said today.
Yeah.
Come on, Ben. Bit of positivity.
Oh, well, if we're going positive, I'm going 0-0. Because if we concede first, we're done.
Ben, it's been brilliant to have you on this match preview. Ben's details are in the description below. Good luck for the game. Obviously, we want a Cherries win, but we'll speak to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks,
cheers, Ben.
Guys. Nice one. Had fun.
Cheers, Ben.
Cheers, Ben.
We're going to continue with the match preview. We've got another guest coming. Let's do it. And joining us now with the other guys is Aaron Kaye. How you doing, Aaron?
Very good. How are you, lovely three people?
Oh, you sound
Absolutely.
beautiful, Aaron.
Thanks.
You're not the only one that's late, by the way. We've also got Mark Singleton, I think, was joining slightly late. Rich Neal, Sammy, Heather, Cameron's in, Stu's in, Stephen Dye, he was here from the start, and Alan as well. So thank you to everyone who's currently joining us on this match preview. Aaron, you listened to the first half of that match preview. Do you want to give us a summary of what you've heard going into this game?
Well, Stoke fans don't seem particularly enthused by their recent performances. And we're desperate for a game. So, looking forward to it. I think you all summed up pretty well. We don't know who's going to turn up tomorrow, whether we're going to be rusty or whether they're going to be fresh. So that's my only concern.
But Scott Parker has been able to still work with those players for in between the storms, shall we say, but he's still been able to get those tactics and how he wants them to play going into these next couple of fixtures, and still been able to work with the players on the training ground and keep that intensity up, surely.
Yeah, look, any time on the training ground is really good. I think any manager will tell you that. So hopefully he's had a lot of time to work on certain aspects of the game. And so, I think, it's all valuable game time, but nothing replaces that kind of match readiness, that match time. And we have momentum, obviously 3 league wins in a row. So it's a shame from that point of view. But just want to say for any Forest fans listening that, we're going to have some really big players back for when we play you in May. So it was really crucial that we got that game postponed.
Right, Steve, our manager, Scott Parker.
My mate Scott.
Your mate Scott Parker, he gave a press conference and he talked about not taking too much focus on the rest of the championship. I'm not sure I buy into that. I'm sure he's still looking at the games and checking the results, but focusing on ourselves. Of course he is. No Lerma tomorrow, but potentially we have a good right back option. Yeah,
it seems like we've got 3 available now all of a sudden, doesn't it? So that's a quandary. I don't know how. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, I suppose that into some regard they're all going to be a little bit rusty as far as match fitness goes, because we've missed a couple of weeks. But the thing is, when with Smithy, whenever he's not, he's always selected. Parker's always backed him when he's been available. So that's the way I think that he might go with it. If Smithy's up to speed, and if Laird's, the thing with Laird is that he looks to me like a wing back. And that's the way I think we expected him to fit into. I don't think it's right for him to come straight in front of Stacey or Smith. Not personally. I would go with Smith personally if he's up to speed. But equally, either way, I mean, I'd be happy with Stacey in there as well. But it is a difficult one for him.
Matt, there are smiles on the training ground, though. We see the images on Twitter and the official club website, and the players look ready for action again.
Well, yeah, you'd like to hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, Twitter would always paint a picture like that, wouldn't they? The AFC Bournemouth Twitter feed. But yeah, there seems to be, and so should it be. I'd probably disagree with Steve. I probably would keep Jack Stacey in tomorrow because I don't think he's done a lot wrong. And I was one when Ethan Laird first came along. I was one for putting him straight in because Jack Stacey was really struggling. He wasn't in great form. He was really hit and miss. But I think in recent weeks, he has been he has pulled it around. Obviously, with Laird coming in and Smith coming back to fitness, has given him a bit of a kick up the backside, I think. So he hasn't done a lot wrong. We've obviously won 3 on the bounce. All right, we haven't always been that convincing in those 3 matches, but I would probably keep Stacey in tomorrow. I'd
be happy with him either or, but I think he has always called on Smith when he's been available. That's the way I was looking at it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and earlier on in the season when Smith was fully fit, I'd have gone Smith over Stacey all day long, and even probably last season as well. But I just think as he's still coming back from injury, and Stacey's not done too much wrong.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
I think
it's whether they're really up to speed. They might be back on the grass training again, but if they're how actual match fit are they, sort of thing.
Well, if you lot going to start talking,
but it's Stacey's position to lose, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Kirk.
If you lot are going to start talking about who's going to play tomorrow, Aaron, it's surely time for something.
It is indeed.
Predicted 11. Okay, it's predicted 11 time, and I've sort of started this myself. I've put Mark Travers in goal, and I put Dom Solanke up top. So I've done the hard work, guys. So over to you, Steve. You're going to fill the back line for me from the left, if possible. So starting with the left back, who are you playing?
Well, it's Jay-Z for me. Yeah, Leif Davis has done okay when he's come in, I think. But I mean, Jay-Z's just a slight bit better. The thing that worried me last game is at Blackpool, where Jay-Z's delivery was pretty poor, I thought, and that's the one thing that I think Leif has over him is his delivery, his final ball into the box. But for general overall play, you got to go with Zamora down that left side.
First centre back,
Captain Kelly. There's no debate there.
Now, before you give me the second centre back, for everyone currently watching now live in the chat, we're going to come to right back very soon. So who would you play right back? So when we come to it and Steve gives it, we'll see if you agree with him. So will it be Smith, Stacey or Laird at right back? In the meantime, Steve, you're going to give me the second centre back, and Gary Cahill is now apparently fit.
He's now apparently fit. Yeah, that's correct. But he's not first choice for me anymore. I think with Nat Phillips coming into the team, you've got to go with him, and he seems to have struck that partnership. Or Scott Parker's gone for that partnership straight from the off, hasn't he? He sort of disregarded the other options he had and went straight to Nat Phillips and Kelly. So I can't see that changing anytime soon, unless there's an injury.
I would say I would agree with Steve there. I think Phillips will keep his place, but I think we should remember, I think Cahill, how good Cahill was before his injury. So a lot of our minds are sort of thinking that he wasn't on great form since his injury at Millwall. If he's back to his pre-Millwall freshest, then he's a hell of a player. But I would agree that Phillips should start for now.
Okay, Steve. So we are busy in the chat. Scott Parker's got options: Smith, Stacey, or Laird.
I don't know. I think I concur with what Matt said. It's Stacey's shirt to lose, personally. But just the fact that he's always gone to Smith when he's been available, that's the thing that sort of sticks in my mind. But equally, I'd love to see what Laird's like. So, do you know what? I'd probably be happy with. Yeah, I know. He's a bit of an enigma. It's like we don't know if he actually exists or not. But
the mysterious Ethan Laird.
The mystery of Ethan Laird. Yeah. I think it'll be, for me, it would be Stacey, but I think it will be Smith.
Okay, interesting stuff. And I do agree that I think it's Stacey's to lose. I think Stacey had a bit of a blip around that Luton time, and obviously had the mistake against Coventry, putting Lerma right in it. But I think he's really been on it the last few weeks. Moving into midfield then, Aaron. And again, we'll go back to the chat for that holding role. We know there's no Lerma. So who would you like to see? Lewis Cook, Kilkenny or Pearson? Whilst we wait for that to come through, Aaron, jump that defensive midfield role, and who do you want to play in the two centre midfield positions ahead?
I think it pretty much picks itself if they're fit, Billing and Cantwell. Although I have got a theory, which we'll come on to in a bit of a spanner in the works from potential injury, which might affect our forward positions. But for now, I'd put Billing and Cantwell in there. I think they both offer that creativity. Cantwell clearly is a real talent, showed against Birmingham and against Black can do. So yeah, I think those two could cause a bit of havoc tomorrow.
So Lewis Cook had a very, very good game previously when we played last, but certain games are set up for Ben Pearson, in my opinion. I think that would have been Nottingham Forest had we gone ahead with that game. Who are you playing in that holding role tomorrow against Stoke, Aaron?
I think Lewis Cook will keep his place. I'll be the first to hold my hands up and was disappointed Pearson didn't make the team at Blackpool. Thought it was made for him in the wind and rain and on a muddy pitch. And I'd always played Pearson away from home. I think he's that sort of player. Lewis Cook has not been playing well in a position which has not suited him, to be fair to him. So playing in his preferred position, which is in front of the back four. He was superb against Blackpool, probably in my best 3 players in that game. So delighted to see him back to that, because I really wanted to get him back to that. So yeah, for me, Lewis Cook will keep his place. I don't see any reason to change that.
Fantastic. And even the gaffers agreeing with you tonight, Aaron. Scotty Parker's here, the main man, and his main man is Lewis Cook. He's on the team sheet. Put that one in your fan hub if you still do that app, because he might be starting in that starting 11. Right, Matt, we're going to move up the field. Slanky's got his place, played every single game in the Championship. Kiefer Moore currently out. Now, I'm sure and confident who you're going to go for in those attacking midfielder roles ahead. I suppose the big question is, Matt, which side do they play on?
Yeah, that is the big question. Wow. I mean, for me, last game against Blackpool, I'm a big believer in if you play, whether you're playing a front 2 or a front 3, whatever it is, if your striker comes on and scores, i.e. I'm talking about Jamal Lowe here, then, that's what he's paid to do. So what more has he got to do to get himself in the starting 11 next game? I mean, he's been hit and miss, hasn't he, this season, Jamal Lowe, but to be fair, he has still weighed in with a few goals. And if he's played the right way, and he gets himself involved in the game, I'm a little bit torn, because obviously the partnership, we keep going back, don't we, to this partnership between Zamura and Anthony. But at the end of the day, Anthony, like I think Steve has said before, you can't just say, well, I can only play with my mate when Jordan's playing, otherwise I'm no good. That's no good for me. And I don't think I didn't go to Blackpool in the end, but I don't think he had the greatest game at Blackpool, did he, Anthony? So I'm going to go with Lowe, and I'm going to go with Dembele, and I'm going to go Dembele right and Lowe left.
Interesting stuff.
It's interesting. My spanner in the works is that Jadon Anthony was not in any training photos or videos, so I don't think he's available.
There you go, then.
I might be totally wrong, but I did not see him at all. So I was going to... It's interesting you've gone for Lowe there, Matt, and I don't disagree with you. I think he's been better coming off the bench, but he probably deserves another go. But I was wondering whether we might see the mysterious Ethan Laird on the right wing.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
That's also been shouted out in the chat as well. Interesting. But that we've done it jointly, collectively. Do you agree with it in the chat? Also, if you're checking out this video afterwards, do you agree with this lineup? And if you don't agree with it, which players would you swap? Score predictions coming very soon. Okay, those score predictions are coming very soon, guys. But we do have a sort of good
really high voice.
It was a really high voice, wasn't it? Didn't even manufacture that either.
Sorry.
But we do have
I
think we have a good record against Stoke City. I spoke to Ben off air, and he said the only thing he's taken into this game is potentially they do all right against us. They beat us last season when we were preparing for the playoffs, but we've only lost once to them in the last 7 for 5 wins, 1 draw, Matt.
Yeah, but we've probably been better away. I mean, I remember going to, because we used to play them in the league in the 3rd division, didn't we? When they came, they dropped down a lot of years ago now, probably talking 20 years ago. And then we never used to get much joy at Stoke from the old Victoria. I remember the old Victoria ground. I'm sure you boys do as well.
Black and white back then, wasn't it?
Black and white, showing our age, didn't we? But, and we never used to get. I remember the old Harry Redknapp days. We never used to get much joy up there. And in recent seasons, we've won every time, haven't we? At the Britannia, in the last 4 or 5 times, even in the Premier League, we used to win. But at home, we were a little bit hit or miss. I remember us getting beaten at home to Stoke. I think Shaqiri did us one day. I think we lost 3-1. We got absolutely battered by him at home. That was in the Premier League. And obviously last season we lost at home to him. So it's hit and miss at home and probably been better away lately. So it's a strange one.
You're our news reporter, Aaron. What's the weather doing tomorrow? Because that could play a part, because Stoke probably don't mind a bit of rain and wind.
Well, the weather looks great for a change. It looks bright, sunny with a moderate breeze. No, but I think they're probably the least unstokish team that we've played for a long time. So we kind of had this whole sort of thing about Stoke, being a hard physical team. I don't think they are that at the moment. But they are always difficult games against them. I can't remember any game where we've really taken them apart.
Let's take a look at some of those score predictions that are coming through. It's his birthday next week on the 6th of March. My boy, he's gone for 3-1 to the Cherries.
That's pessimistic.
Yeah.
AFC Bournemouth, Germany. He's gone for a Dominic Solanke hat-trick. That'll take him past 20 league goals if he does that. Mark Singleton, 2-1. Chris Hubble, 3-1. The famous Cameron also going for a 2-1. Mark Cole, snap, 2-1. Gareth is going for a 2-0. Sammy is going for 3-1. Of course, what else have we got? JK up the Cherries, thrashing 5-0. Yeah, okay, maybe. We've got a 2-0 in there as well. And any more that filter through? Scotty Parker's, well, Stephen Dyer's feeling a 2-1, but Scotty Parker's feeling very confident tomorrow. He's going to let the boys loose from minute 1, 7-0.
Of course he is.
All right, Matt, score prediction tomorrow. Going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going, yeah. Yeah, I think it will be a tight game. I think they are, like we said earlier, they're a better side than what they're showing recently. They want a response from the midweek. So I'm going to go for a Bournemouth win. Obviously, I'm actually going to go for a 2-1. I think we might concede a goal. They have got some potency up front. They've got some pace up front. I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
I'm going to put mine in early as well and just match that. So 2-1 to me for the Cherries. Steve, how are you feeling? You're obviously going to the game, surely.
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, do you know what? I haven't been to games since Boreham Wood. That's how poor it's been for me.
I never went to that one. Yeah, I missed that one.
I've just given up to going to football after Boreham Wood.
Yeah.
Can you stop mentioning Boreham Wood, please?
Yeah.
Why? Sorry, anyway, go back to what we were talking about. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. I think because we're a bit cold. We're going to be a bit cold. But I still think we'll have just enough for them. I'll go for 1-0.
Aaron, what time are you leaving to get to Dean Court tomorrow?
I'm leaving about 10 in the morning.
Where from?
From Boreham Wood.
He's moved.
More importantly, Aaron, score prediction for this game.
Yeah, I think we'll win. I'm actually quite confident. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Bournemouth tomorrow. And Kirk, actually, can you ask Owen, as his best mates of Jaden Anthony, whether he is fit tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, madness that was. Absolute madness. I was just sorting out the dishwasher and Owen shouted up to me, "You've got to come to my bedroom now. I'm on Twitch." I went, "What are you talking about?" Jaden Anthony just picked a random person, which from the viewers, and Owen was viewing, and he joined in on Fortnite. I don't even play Fortnite. I don't get it. But he played Fortnite with Jaden Anthony, and Jaden Anthony actually responded to the tweet as well. So that's absolutely amazing. I'll get Owen to check in and just see if he's fit for tomorrow's game. Yeah. We're all going then, and you might be going to the game as well. Thank you for everyone who's joined us live. Now, we're likely to be at the stadium. Normally, we hover around the 1910 bar. I'm sure Steve would be there. Well, all of us,
I don't drink.
Sure. No, well,
you know that.
The vlogs can't go away, Steve. That they tell the whole story. Heather's just putting in a late scoreline. She was just having an extra think about.
Do you know when we were picking the team earlier, and we don't even we've just completely sort of forgotten about somebody in the midfield that we just it doesn't even come into the conversation now anymore. It's Gav. Yeah.
Gav Kilkenny.
It's mad, isn't it?
Well, I was actually going to say,
and he played in the reverse fixture.
Yeah, and I was going to say as well, lads, how mad is it that we're saying if anybody said to you back in late October, Gary Cahill's fit but he's not starting, I'd be like, are you taking the piss? Gary Cahill's fit but he's not starting. He was unbelievable, wasn't he, for the first 3 months?
I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it at 2:00 tomorrow when the lineups are dropped, and we'll have a discussion, and we'll be building.
Come on, lads, we're ruining the flow of this.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can take over any day, but we will be building a match day vlog tomorrow afternoon. It'll be released over the weekend, maybe Saturday night, if not Sunday. But we will be at the stadium. If you do see us in the 1910, come and say hello. I know there's lots of people that sort of put comments on these videos and say, "Oh, I saw you in the North Stand." Just come and say hello. If you want to talk to Steve, he's more than happy to have a conversation with you about how much he loves Scott Parker. So there's lots of debates to have. But we've enjoyed this match preview. We really do like these live ones. Thank you for everyone who's got involved. Now subscribe to Cherries Red Army. I think we've already had one subscriber. It might have been Gareth who subscribed in the last 1 hour. So thank you for that. We really want to get to 1,000 before the season's out with hopefully promotion. That would be a cracking end to a YouTube season, wouldn't it? Also hit the like button. Don't know how many likes we're at the moment, but smash that like, because also that does help with the popularity, feeding this video across YouTube. And we wouldn't be able to do these types of videos if it wasn't for our channel supporter members. That includes Steve Hensman, who's in there, Mike, Mark, Rich, Richard, Sammy, Steve, Paul, and Neil. So please do support us if you can. You can do one-off donations, or you can become a monthly supporter member by going to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Really does help. We really appreciate it. But don't worry if you can't do it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and that is just as exciting for us, and we can continue to do these videos and streams. So really appreciate that. Matt, final thoughts. Thanks for being on this match preview.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kirk, as ever. Great to see all you lads and everybody in the chat. Looking forward to tomorrow. Just looking forward to going to the football again, because I was getting so bored. Last one, I think we said on the chat, didn't we? Our chat. How boring is it? I don't know how I'm going to manage in May, but onwards.
That's why you need to get yourself down to the under-18s, mate.
Yeah. Well, I gave that one a swerve, mate.
Why you didn't get pneumonia from that, Steve?
Oh no!
Yeah,
my shoes were wet for about a month.
that was horrendous, wasn't it? But great to see them take the title. But yeah, no, just looking forward to it tomorrow. Looking forward to getting back to the stadium, seeing everyone, seeing some football, and hopefully 3 points.
Yeah,
Steve, great to have you on this match preview. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming on.
No worries, mate. See you soon.
Aaron, also have a safe trip up to the stadium tomorrow. Just double check with your boy about that scoreline, because I'd love it. Just not sure it's going to come in, but you never know.
You never know. Yeah. See you all tomorrow, chaps. Really looking forward to it.
Cheers,
Fantastic. That
Steve.
wraps up the match preview for this game. It looks like we do have a game on tomorrow. Can't wait for it. In the Championship, Bournemouth versus Stoke. Maybe we go for 4 wins in a row in the Championship and continue to stay in those automatic positions. But we really appreciate everyone who's joined in with this stream. Thanks for Ben from the YYY-Files coming on to this match preview. Cheers to Matt, Steve, Aaron, all of you. Stay safe. See you tomorrow if you're at the game. If not, try and enjoy the Cherries where you can, and make sure you check out more content coming to Cherries Red Army very, very soon. Cheers, everyone. Up the Cherries.